Supervisor Sean, Jackie, Commissioner over here.
Sure.
Commissioner? Jackie, come. Commissioner here? Oh, I didn't see you talking. All right, we're all 6 feet apart. We're going to take our masks off temporarily. Hello, everyone. Back here in Western New York, unexpectedly, but always glad to be home. I'm actually at Hochul on the lake, a place that I spent many, many years and actually celebrations here with my family even 27 years ago when I had the privilege of representing this community. And what we see out here as indication of what has happened all over the state is, again, Mother Nature's devastation. And I want to thank everyone who responded actually preemptively. Thanks to my state operations team led by Catherine Garcia. Thanks to our emergency services led by Jackie Bray, who joined me here from Albany, as well as our partners on the ground, represented the county executive. Mark Polenkars is represented here today, as well as with Commissioner Bill Geary, the County Department of Public Works, as well as our supervisor, Jim Shaw, who lives down here on the waterfront, and Joan Kesner, who also served on the town board with me for many years, who knows this community as well as I do. I have walked the streets of Hoover Beach countless times. And again, to see the people who become my friends devastated once again, 3 years in a row, to deal with the effects of a 100-year storm. It's hard. People are exhausted. It's too much. And I just spoke with the county executive, P.J. Wendell, down in Chautauqua County to assess what is going on there, all the way on up to Plattsburgh. We have had a widespread storm. You saw the effects of what happened in other parts of our country. And we've extended our sympathies to the Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear, and offered all the assistance of the state of New York as a result of the tornadoes that resulted in possibly upwards of 100 people who lost their lives. So this is a wide-scale weather event. However, here on the waterfront, Lake Erie and Lake Ontario, we always get hit so hard. And that is why we're going to continue building back resiliency, having to build projects that will withstand Mother Nature to the extent possible, to give hope to these communities that have been so battered every time there's a major storm. So I want to thank everyone involved and let you know basically what we've assessed here. We already know that this caused widespread damage, down trees, down electrical wires throughout Western New York, loss of power, some flooding. This community, according to our supervisor here, experienced 77-mile-an-hour winds, which is quite extraordinary. The brunt of that scene is particularly along the waterfront here. Dunkirk and Genesee County experienced winds of upwards of 80 miles an hour. Other areas along Lake Ontario, 60 miles an hour. We've not seen significant flooding other than these very close to the waterfront homes. I do know Chautauqua County, the waterfront communities have also been hit hard, but inland there has not been a significant amount of damage. But the high waters have surged into the Buffalo waterfront and the Niagara River. Right now the main problem is power outages. Nearly 100,000 homes lost power during the height of this. Over 200,000 already restored, and as of just a short time ago, we have 97,000 people still without power. Without power during a very, very cold time. And these are the individuals we want to make sure are protected. They know there's shelters available. We have a list of sites that people can go here in Western New York. And where teams are working around the clock. Again, we deployed people in advance in anticipation of this. I declared a state of emergency for this region, actually before the winds really got strong yesterday afternoon. We have 8,300 workers available around the clock. What they'll be doing now is damage assessment, response, and restoration efforts all across the state. Combined crews from NYSEG, RG&E, utility companies, as well as out-of-state personnel that we've brought in. So if you've lost power and you need dry ice or bottled water, we have regions we can list for you and provide that. But also let people know we took some precautions. We were ready for this, and we banned tractor trailers and box trucks on the Skyway yesterday, as well as empty trucks along the thruway. Utility companies brought in 1,300 people from out of state, as well as I can give you all the numbers of dump trucks and excavators and bucket crews, other than, let me just say that we have a lot of people on the ground ready to respond. It's not the first time we've dealt with this. As a local town official, I can't tell you how many times I had to go out and survey damage like this, all the way on up to my time as lieutenant governor, where I was in charge of storm responses and operation centers here in Western New York. So we've been through this before. I want you to know our team is experienced, we're ready, and I also want to just commend this community. Those who took precautions and stayed home and made sure they were not in their cars. Anytime you go out in a vehicle during a high wind event, you are at risk of being hit by a falling tree or down power wires, and I'm afraid we did have one loss of life up near Plattsburgh, a gentleman whose car was hit by a tree, and he did not survive that event, and our hearts go out to him and his family. So I just wanted to show that we're on the ground here. This is personal to me. It's my hometown, and I want to thank everybody who's responded here. In particular, I want to thank Jim Shaw, who's been an extraordinary leader of this community. I thank him as he finishes out his term. I don't know if he expected something like this, but Mother Nature's one last parting gift to Jim Shaw, perhaps. And I also want to thank Department of Transportation Frank Cirillo, our Western New York coordinator. I don't know if Kevin Trask is here, but our emergency coordinator from the town of Hamburg as well. And lastly, let me thank the Hoch family for not giving up. I have been here so many times. I literally came here for many, many interviews with the media, seeing the waves come crashing over the top. I understand they hit the roof this time, is that right? Hit the roof, and this is the most resilient family in the history of Hamburg. The Hochs keep coming back year after year after year, and for that, for their good beef on wick and chicken wings, we are grateful. So lastly, we also wish the very best to our favorite hometown team. I stopped and visited many homeowners in Hoover Beach. They are strong. They're ready for what they have to do. They're involved in cleanup. They hugged me for jumping out there, and I actually got hit with a very big wave, so I'm going to dry out in a little bit. But I just wanted to let them know that we have not forgotten them. And every one of them had their Bills paraphernalia, their jackets, their Bills hats on. So this is a community of great optimism and great strength. And I want to thank everyone involved in our response here. Supervisor Jim Shaw.
Well, bless you, Governor. We are grateful for your leadership and your devotion to the well-being of this community. We are all very, very proud of you and very grateful for the concerns that you address through your caring behavior. And I know that in the future we can build a mitigation program that will help our community. Long-term benefit to shoreline property owners throughout the expanse of Hamburg. We've suffered greatly, but we have a champion in you. I'm so grateful for your friendship and your leadership. On behalf of all of us in Hamburg, God bless you, and come back and see us soon and often for fish fries and wings. To all of you for your help, particularly the state DOT, Sean Crotty, our emergency dispatch person, our highway department people were wonderful last night, our water rescue folks, our volunteer fire companies. God bless you all. We'll get through this. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you so much. Governor, thank you again.
At this time, I'd like to bring up Jackie Bray, who's brand new on the job. She is the head of the Department of Emergency Services and Homeland Security. She comes with impeccable credentials, not the least of which is that she once worked for the National Weather Service in Washington. So she is a true blue weather tracker, and she can talk a little about her experience. But I feel very confident with her on the ground here with all of us, and you'll see her often as needed. And I do think I want to make a correction. I think I said there was 100,000 people without power. That was just in this area. Now it was 300,000 statewide, just to make sure that that is correct. Jackie Bray, Commissioner Bray.
Thank you, Governor. I think you hit all of the major numbers. What I mostly want to say is the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services stood up storm preparation 72 hours ago, working with our partners at Thruway, the Department of Transportation, all of our utility companies, and all of our local leaders. We are on the ground now. We won't leave until everyone's got power back. As the governor said, we've got about 97,000 people without power right now. The majority, the plurality of those are in Monroe, 22,000, 16,000 households here in Erie, 9,500 households in Niagara. So we are on the ground. We are in touch with all of the utility companies. We're here to have not only local leaders' backs, but our fellow agencies' backs as we get power going. I do want folks to know we do expect mild weather for the next 3 days, which is really a blessing. We expect daytime temperatures in the mid to upper 40s, but those nighttime temps will dip into the mid 30s. So while we don't expect freezing temperatures, if you are without power, you may be without power beyond today. If you need to seek a warming center or get yourself to some place to stay warm overnight, we're here to help you do that. We'll be distributing lists of warming centers around this area and throughout the region later today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Are there any questions?
Governor, you just toured Hoover Beach. You mentioned that. I was down there earlier today, talked with one of the residents, and she said she's ready to hang it up. After 28 years, she's just tired. She's done. She did say that the homeowners were hoping for some sort of a project like the one just west of here, Great Wall. Can you comment specifically about what the state can do or coordinate with the federal government?
Right, and we'll certainly would have to do something in coordination with the federal government. Again, I was here back in the early 1980s. My parents lived on the waterfront a long time ago, when literally this community was devastated, and FEMA just said, we'll let you all leave and we'll pay for your homes. I mean, so this has been a long-standing problem for this community, but these people are tough, they're resilient, they wanted to stay, we respect that. And now with the effects of climate change, the situation has gone from bad to worse. And I don't know what to say to the homeowners other than, God bless you. I know it's been tough, and the state of New York will be there to help with all the resources we can, but a rebuilding project to try and stop the water of Lake Erie from coming to land here is something we can certainly look at, but it's not something we can help with in the short term. It's not going to give relief if something like this happens again next summer. So I want to have a sense of reality to whether or not there's going to be the assistance, be able to change the landscape this quickly. But we did put in a project. It literally took 20 years, that Athol Springs project. I was on the town board when we first proposed that. I would say at least took 15, 20 years to get that accomplished. So I have a sense of urgency about these projects. This is important, but I do want the residents to know that we hear them, that we understand what they're looking at, but I don't know that there's going to be a short-term solution that's going to be satisfactory right now. But I'm willing to look at a project like that for sure. I think that's. Well, it did. I'm just saying because it had to go through Army Corps. I mean, it wasn't on the town. It was mostly federal barriers, federal money. These are federal projects that involve the Army Corps of Engineers primarily, and that's where the funding comes from. So I'm happy to work and to assess this and see what can happen. But I'm just telling you, when people look at what happened here, I know the long history. We wanted it 20 years ago. That's how long it took. But I would be happy to work with our state partners to see what can be accomplished.
Governor, you talked about the utilities are bringing a lot of people in to help with the problems. What is the state's specific resources to help in a situation like this?
Well, first of all, we have to clear the roads. I mean, a lot of it was trees coming down. They take the wires with them, and we have to be on the ground with our road crews and working with the county and the towns to make sure we identify the most dangerous. A live wire on the ground is the worst situation. Wires that are on people's homes, wires that are on vehicles, we have to get those removed immediately. So a lot of it's clearing major debris out of the way, making sure that the thruway is clear, our major roadways that we oversee, and even shutting down the Skyway. That's a state highway, making sure that we protected people. I have been on that Skyway many times before I was in state government. I'd say, what are they waiting for? Why are we still up here? This is pretty dangerous, and so we want to make sure that based on my local knowledge and the experience we have, is that we take these steps earlier. But also providing assistance to the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. They're not going anywhere. They're going to make sure that to the extent that people need assistance, that they have that. If they need sheltering, they need additional food, they need water, that we will provide that as well. Also, I have the National Guard ready to assist if necessary as well. So it seems like, given that this is still windy out there, but the massive amount of damage has already been done, and we're looking at better weather in the next couple of days. We're not expecting a prolonged event. Should that change, we're ready to just really ramp it up again.
Tomorrow your mask mandate goes into place. Can you comment on how you're feeling about that, the necessity for it, and what kind of feedback you're getting?
I've said for many months that we foresee a winter surge coming. We watched the numbers from last year and how everything was looking good in the summer, and by Halloween, certainly Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, we saw a spike. I had said if we get enough people vaccinated, we can thwart this. We can stop this from even being a problem if we got people not 1 dose but 2 doses and now even boosted. And certainly having the availability all the way down to children ages 5 to 11, it was my sincere hope that people would know we could avoid anything, avoid any other protocols or restrictions, because I did not want to have to do this. I was pleading with New Yorkers to get vaccinated. Many did, and I thank them, and I'm grateful for them. And I'm grateful for the businesses who understood that they can protect their own employees as well as customers by having these protocols in place. But we still have a huge spike in cases, up 49% since Thanksgiving. Hospital capacity is what keeps me up at night. I've been in constant communication with our local hospitals here in Western New York. We saw this coming, and I never wanted a situation where the beds are being filled with people on ventilators who are very sick because of COVID, and therefore people with other life-threatening conditions like heart attacks are turned down necessary medical health coverage and medical treatment. So I don't want to get to the point where it's too late. And I wanted to do everything I could without being overly burdensome on the businesses. And that's the balance I struck with this. Individual businesses can decide whether they want to have a mask requirement. And certainly if you're in a restaurant, you don't have to have a mask on when you're eating or drinking. We're being reasonable about this. But have a mask requirement, or if you choose to have a vaccination requirement. I wanted to give the businesses the flexibility. New York City, the entire city for many months now has had a requirement. You cannot go into a restaurant or a play or a sporting event without proof of vaccination. And the large population there, regardless of what they thought in the beginning, they followed that. I understand the different dynamic here in upstate. I'm from upstate. And I wanted to give flexibility and also cover for the county executives who want to do the right thing. Right here, Mark Poloncarz stepped up and did the right thing, trying to deal with the ever upward escalation of cases that we saw and bed capacity going down. So we get that vaccination rate getting higher. We can, if everybody in West New York gets vaccinated tomorrow, I won't have to do this. And so I'm asking people, just please do this so we can keep our economy strong, keep people being able to still go shopping, keep as normal a life as possible, keep the kids in school, which is critically important, simply wearing a mask. And what we went through the first months of this pandemic, absolute shutdowns. You could not leave your home except to run into a store and grab that all essential paper towels or toilet paper. Remember those days? And you couldn't go to work, you couldn't go to church, you couldn't go to school at all. That was a tremendous sacrifice. It took its toll. But it had the effect of making sure that this did not spread. I'm asking not any of that. I'm just saying, put on a mask. Just wear a mask. It's the simplest thing to do. And I have confidence in New Yorkers. I have confidence they'll do the right thing, especially when it comes to holidays. So no member of their family, especially the more vulnerable, senior citizens, grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad, that none of them have to deal with the specter of COVID, because what we're dealing with now are people with long-haul COVID. It's something I've called on our Department of Health to study, but as the pace that was hardest hit, the earliest in the whole country, we have a lot of people who may have overcome the initial COVID infection, they healed, and now they're dealing with effects all these months later. I don't want that to happen to anyone else either. We're studying this, trying to figure out cures, but right now there are no cures for this either. So I know tomorrow is a big day. It doesn't have to be that big a deal. It truly doesn't. Just asking people to do something that is common sense, that we believe will help save lives and ultimately drive down the infections, allow our hospitals to be able to handle everybody, get back to elective surgeries, and there's a real simple answer, my friends. Get vaccinated and get boosted.
That's all the time we have for today.
All right, thanks for coming out, everybody. Appreciate it. Go Bills.
Go Bills.